Hi everyone. On March 16th, the Holy Orthodox Church celebrates the memory of Aninas the Wonderworker. Now, Aninas hailed from Mesopotamia near the Euphrates River. Even from an early age, he was a studious and devout person who absolutely loved solitude. Well, he was to get more than he expected because at the age of 15, his parents reposed and he was left on his own. So he began wandering in the area, trying to seek discernment for his life, and finally settled down with someone else who was a little bit older and who was able to instruct him in the virtues of the Lord. He spent many years with this person, and then finally the man departed, was going to go somewhere else, and Aninas said to him, well, you know, I was looking for someone, and the Lord led me to you, but really I have no desire to leave this place, so forgive me, Father. So he found himself alone yet again and began a life where he would stay in his cell for a lot of the time, and then later on he would begin walking into different places, and sometimes he would walk for as long as 30 days, always returning to his cell. Well, after a while, he became quite renowned as being someone who was extremely humble and someone who was able to cure diseases of people just by prayer and doing nothing else. Well, as he was about 4 miles from the Euphrates River, he would have to walk there in order to draw water and bring it back to his cell. And one time when he was doing this, and he came back and there was water, and people began to crowd around and seeking advice from him, and one of his disciples walked up and said, Holy Father, there's no more water for these people, and they're getting thirsty. And Aninas said, well, certainly there must be some there. He said, no, not even a glass full. And so Aninas raised his arms to heaven and prayed and said, go, my son, go to where the water is out there, and you shall find plenty. And sure enough, the disciple went out there, and there was more than enough for everyone that was there. In fact, Aninas brought a jar back to his own place and was always sufficiently full of water so that he rarely had to go out anywhere. And the area that he had drawn the water from initially, where his disciple had gone to help quench the thirst of all the people that were there, well, that kept refreshing itself as well, so that no one was ever thirsty. Aninas did go a couple of times, though. He went to the Euphrates to bring water back, and at one point he went with an empty pail, and he decided midway there to turn around and come back. And some other people saw him there, and when they found him, they saw that his pail was completely full. And this became a great miracle in the eyes of many people there, that simply by prayer, God had blessed Aninas, and he was able to absolutely keep everything full at all times so that no one, anytime, was thirsty in that dry and very desert-like area. So at one point, the bishop also of that area had heard about all of this and had heard that Aninas was carrying the pail by himself and thought, well, you know, I'm going to send him a donkey. And he did, so that Aninas could ride instead. But lo and behold, not long after that, another monk appeared to Aninas and said, I'm in a lot of trouble, brother. I have debts and they're coming after me. What can I do? And Aninas said, be of good cheer. You know, don't worry, be light in your spirit in love for the Lord, and take this donkey and sell it and be relieved of your debt. Well, the bishop heard of this too. So he brought a huge jug to put inside of Aninas' cell so that he would always have plenty of water and never have to go to the Euphrates except on very, very rare times. Aninas was someone who was completely in love with the Lord, completely overcame his passions during his life, and helped many, many people along the way, also encouraging them in their spiritual lives and abilities to please the Lord in even the simplest of ways. At one point, Aninas had heard of a stylite who was completely revered by many people and thought to be a holy man, and yet this stylite had an encounter with someone who devilishly hurled a rock at him. Well, the stylite was not happy with that, and in fact he climbed down the pillar to try and punish the man for what he had done. But at that time, Aninas, through the power of the Holy Spirit, had seen what had happened, and he sent a note to this stylite, and he attached it to a lion, because 2 lions had followed Aninas around for many, many years. He even patched up the paw of one of them at one time. Well, the stylite saw the lion coming and was completely out of his mind when he saw it. What is this, And fortunately, the lion simply walked up to the bottom of the pillar, and the stylite's disciple took the note off of the lion and handed it to this particular stylite. Well, the stylite read inside the note that Aninas had said, "Please don't disturb yourself about this person who has harmed you. Simply relax, let it go, and let the judgment of God take care of him." Well, the stylite was moved to great humility by this, understanding that he had almost breached his own code of etiquette in his attempts at becoming more Christ-like, and was grateful to Aninas because of this. At another time, there was a certain woman who had a lot of health issues who ran into a man who saw her and took out his sword and stuck it into the ground and attempted to rape her. Well, she knew Aninas and prayed quickly to him, even at that time, asking for his help, and the man was stopped from this horrible act that he was about to engage in. And in fact, he went to pick up his sword, and that sword was stuck in the ground. It would not come up. And because of this, he repented greatly over what he was going to do. And he went to Aninas, and Aninas catechized him and had him baptized. And later, this man became a paragon of virtue among other people. And the woman, of course, was spared from any kind of humiliation. Finally, when he did repose, he had been in the desert in his cell for 95 years. And he reposed at the youngish age of 110, always loving the Lord from practically his first breath until he took his last. Bye-bye.